Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, distinguished guests, and folks of all stripes, put your hands together for the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. Houston, we have Paul Salazar Jr.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Space Cadet Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Paul Salazar Jr. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us at Space Cadet Sports on TikTok and Instagram, and you can find the Substack full of memes, articles, podcasts, video podcasts, all at spacecadetsports.substack.com, where you can be a subscribing member, get everything in your inbox. If you're listening to this podcast, welcome. Welcome if you're listening to it on Spotify, Apple, any of those wonderful podcast streaming apps. But you could also catch the video version of this podcast on the Substack if you want to head over there to spacecadetsports.substack.com. You can watch this video where you see me, if that's what you want. You get the visual medium of the podcast. You can see me say this directly to the barrel of the lens, and you can see the memes and everything, the whole visual component of this podcast there. I'm your host, Paul Salazar Jr. You can find me on social media at Paul Salazar Jr. I'm joined in studio in LA here by my co-host and producer, the Roz to my Frasier, Carla the dog. She is currently staring out the front window, very bored with this right now. So we'll try to pick up the energy, Carla. If you want to see pictures of Carla the dog, you can find them on her TikTok, or I should say her Instagram. She doesn't have a TikTok quite yet, but you can find them on her Instagram at good.dog.carla. Thank you, Astros fans, for listening. This is Space Cadet Sports. This is where the home for diehard Astros fans. This is the home for the people that have been with the Astros forever. You're looking for some optimistic takes on the Astros, where you're not looking for just always the hot takes and always the negativity. You're looking for a little bit more long-term look at the Astros, a little bit more reason. We obviously will talk to the problems that the Astros have here. It's just more of, this is not going to be a place where we are always looking for toxic energies or toxic takes, or just trying to hate people or beat up on people. We're trying to look at the silver lining here. We try to take baseball games as they come, and we try to treat baseball players with respect. And today, it's not going to be that difficult, folks. The Astros won yesterday 8-2 against the Cleveland Guardians, beating them in the series 2-3, like I predicted. So this is going to be a rare prediction win for us here at Space Cadet Sports. I believe that now makes me like 1-20 for predicting the Astros series so far this season, but that's okay. I couldn't have obviously predicted the start to this season that the Astros have had. Right now, the Astros are 11-20. They are good for, I believe, tied in the standings here with the Anaheim Angels of Los Angeles. It has them slightly above them, but they also have an 8-20 record. The Astros definitely, while they won a game and while we won the series and while that was what we wanted, they still are in this hole going into this series against Seattle today. But before we get to that, let's kind of just really briefly talk about the game yesterday. It was a really great game. You had Spencer Arrighetti first and foremost. It was spaghetti time, folks. He came in, he pitched 5 2/3 of an inning. He gave up 4 hits, 2 runs, 2 of them were earned runs. He did have 3 walks, which did look a little, we do want to limit those walks for all of Astros pitchers, but especially our younger pitchers that can struggle. But he did get 6 strikeouts as well, lowering his ERA on the season to 8.27. So Spencer Arrighetti came out and he really did a good job. He was throwing well. Like I said, besides limiting those walks, besides potentially finishing out that inning, not throwing as many pitches so that he can finish out that inning and get that quality start. There's not much more we could have asked for from Spencer Arrighetti in this start. And this definitely puts the pressure on Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown did start the beginning of this series, and he did struggle in a very Hunter Brownian way. He had trouble in the first inning, and he then kind of settled in and did better until the 6th inning. Astros pitchers have very much been struggling with that first inning, folks. It has been very frustrating, and Hunter Brown seems to be somebody that has been struggling with it quite the most out of the Astros pitchers here. So it was good to see Spencer Arrighetti do a good job, limit the runs, go deep into the game, and give a pretty decent performance when it comes to the eye test. Like I said, besides limiting those walks, and limiting that pitch count, I really have to say that Spencer Arrighetti did a great job. It was spaghetti time in in Minute Maid Park in the juice box there. And yeah, you got to love a guy like Spencer Arrighetti. I've been reading about him since last season, but this season they had an article about him on Fangraphs. Spencer Arrighetti is a stats nerd, and he loves the analytics that the Astros organization offers him. He spoke very highly, and he praised the Astros organization with their pitching analytics and the way that he can utilize those analytics and become a better pitcher. So we're rooting for Arrighetti here. We're rooting that he keeps getting better. But simultaneously, he is kind of putting Hunter Brown on notice. Christian Javier was expected to perhaps, or not expected, they were saying that they were hopeful that Christian Javier would be able to throw a bullpen and be able to pitch against the Mariners in this upcoming series at Minute Maid Park. And unfortunately, the team said, I believe it was yesterday or maybe it was earlier today, the team said that Christian Javier will be doing a minor league rehab start instead. So Christian Javier will not be expected to play against the Mariners. And I believe that will give Hunter Brown one more opportunity, one more start to show what he has. Because I think, with JP France going back down to the minors with the return of Framber Valdez and the impending return of Christian Javier, it's not going to be Ronel Blanco right now that's going to be sent back down. It will definitely be Hunter Brown or Spencer Arrighetti. So, we're rooting for both of them, but the reality of the situation is, earlier in the season, everybody was complaining that we should have had more starting pitching. We should have had more starting pitching. Why didn't the Astros sign more starting pitching? Well, in about a month, Urquidy's expected to come back in late May. Once we have Urquidy back, we're really sitting on a wealth of pitching, a huge log jam of pitching. And sure, some of them need some development. Some of them need a little bit more time to be major league ready or to be competitive at a major league level, perhaps. We still have a lot of options there, and that's good to see. That's kind of, what I was pointing at when people were saying, why didn't Dana Brown sign more starting pitching? There has been a lot of complaints about that this April for the Astros, and those complaints may be valid. It is still a little early to say. However, my point was that with the starting pitching that the Astros have in the organization, and with the price of the starting pitching that that GM Dana Brown was looking at in free agency, he decided to take the confident approach of leaning on our starting pitching and hoping that the injuries weren't going to be that bad this year. That's going to be that's going to have to be seen in the future. I don't quite know the phrase I'm trying to turn right now. It is early in the morning for me. I think I'm trying to say that that's yet to be seen. We don't know what the health of the Astros starting pitchers will be the remainder of the season. Obviously, Major League Baseball has struggled to keep pitchers healthy. So, I'm not trying to say everything's fine. Don't worry. I'm just saying if the Astros can turn it around, if the Astros can get some starting pitching healthy and win some games, perhaps this won't be a narrative that will haunt GM Dana Brown, going with his pitching staff as opposed to maybe paying a little bit more out of pocket going into that next tax tier and getting more starting pitching. But I will say in this moment, before we move too further on this game recap a bit here, you look at Blake Snell, you look at the price that the Giants have paid for him. I'm not sure if I'm signing up for that. And I know some people have said too, when you're looking at the back end of our bullpen that has struggled to perform, they are bouncing back. Abreu, Presley, and Hader, I will say, all look like they're bouncing back. But people have been critical. Maybe we shouldn't have spent all that money on Hader. We have some Hader haters out there. We shouldn't have spent all that money on Hader. We should have re-signed pieces like Maton, Stanek, and Neris. Well, to those people, I say go check out Maton, Stanek, and Neris' stats. I'm not saying that the Astros would be significantly worse if they just ran that bullpen back, as much as when you're looking at how much the I'm not trying to be cruel to these bullpen arms, but when you kind of look at I will call them above average bullpen arms, when you're looking at those above average bullpen arms in free agency, when you look at what you have coming up through the pipeline, you're a lot of teams tend to be hesitant to pay money for above average bullpen arms if they have talent coming up through the organization, or if they have some kind of answers that they can depend on, as opposed to making a bit of a big swing to get a big bullpen arm in the organization. Because bullpen arms, as we can see, like Rafael Montero, a lot of times these guys can have some up and down years. It's a tough job being a bullpen reliever. It definitely leads to wild swings in statistics and wild swings in confidence. So, a lot of teams will not put a high price point on above average bullpen arms. With that being said, let's look at our above average bullpen arms that the Astros have on their staff right now. After Spencer Arrighetti, the Astros skipper Joe Espada went with Taylor Scott, who pitched 1 1/3 inning with 1 walk and 1 strikeout. His ERA is at 1.98 on the young season. And then we closed. Taylor Scott ended up getting the win for the team. And Seth Martinez came in and pitched 2 innings. He did give up 3 hits, but somehow magically the Magic Man gives up no runs. He didn't have any inherited base runners this game. But once again, Seth Martinez is looking pretty solid for a bullpen arm. His ERA is at 2.08. He's had a decent season. He is good at not letting inherited base runners go. The few times that I have seen him give up a base runner, it's been on an error or it's been the ghost runner. I might be misremembering a game or two, but Seth Martinez and Taylor Scott have really stepped in to be these bullpen arms in middle relief that we've needed. I know in the beginning of the season, I wasn't critical. I was just saying that we needed these guys to step up and we needed them to solidify their performances, and they really have. So the people that say that, maybe we should have gone with Maton, maybe we should have gone with Stanek, and maybe we should have re-signed Neris, to them I point at Taylor Scott and Seth Martinez. I know that Abreu, Presley, and Hader have started off very slowly. However, if you don't have Hader here, then you just have Abreu and Presley starting off slowly. You're leaning more on Neris. You're leaning more on Montero, and like perhaps even getting Stanek and Maton into that late inning role. Carla is definitely agreeing with me on this one. I don't think she is arguing with me here. I believe she is saying that she thinks I am right. But when you do look at the pitching performance from this team in this game, it was fantastic. It definitely coming off of a rougher performance from the Astros in yesterday's game in that bullpen. I think the Astros, once they get all of their horses healthy, this bullpen will solidify and will look a whole lot better. It's okay, Carla. I know. She's... What's wrong? Okay, we're going to take a quick little Carla break here. I have a little treat in my pocket. I'm going to give that to her right now. She's a good girl. Yeah. She's having a tough day, folks. She has a bit of a tummy ache. But we're just going to keep moving on. Good girl, Carla. She's going to sit here by my feet and help me out here on the podcast. Thank you, folks, for giving some time for Carla to be on mic. I know she appreciates it. I appreciate it. Now, when we're talking about this Astros offense here, it really came through today. It really looked strong. However, we did have 8 runs that came across. I did say the Astros would have to be good with runners in scoring position, and kind of hilariously, they were 4 for 14 with runners in scoring position. They left 7 men on base. They still ended up managing scoring 8 runs and winning the game. And I think this just goes to prove, folks, that I think, while we are looking at these late inning pressure situations, while we are looking at runners in scoring position, and we are complaining about the Astros not executing, while their offensive stats on the year look good, they're just not executing in this position. This is a healthy reminder that baseball is a weird sport, and 4 for 14 sometimes is a winning effort. I believe I heard earlier today, or maybe it was late last night, I was listening to Astros news somewhere. I'm sorry, I can't credit the source. But I was reading or listening to the fact that the Astros are actually second in batting average with runners in scoring position, or sixth. I'm sorry, I believe it's sixth. Yeah, sixth with runners in scoring position when it comes to their batting average in the league. And that's just kind of frustrating. You see this team, you see their struggles with runners in scoring position. You see them losing some close games and not able to knock in a couple extra runs. And you see that their offense, their batting average, they still lead. I'm looking it up right now. They lead the league in hits. Still, if you look at the standard batting here, they they I believe they are second in OPS plus with 117. They're second in slugging. They're first in batting average. And like this team, when you're looking at their offensive stats, they really look pretty stellar. They look fantastic. Or even something like Altuve, who has a 352 average, and a 1001 OPS. Like he's still been struggling to knock runners in and scoring position. When you look at this, it's just sometimes baseball is a frustrating sport. Sometimes the stats don't always make the most sense. This is still a good team. They're just struggling to execute and win games in big moments. I'm not saying that absolves them of all guilt. I'm just saying it is just makes it that more frustrating. In this game, Altuve did end up getting 3 hits, improving that average. Going 3 for 5, getting an RBI, scoring a run. Pena also picked up 2 hits. And then my boy, John Singleton, the guy that the internet loved to hate just a couple weeks ago, John Singleton has turned into John Sluggington. John Sluggington hit a home run in this game, folks. He's now got 2 home runs on the season. As soon as I mentioned that the Houston Astros first baseman aren't hitting home runs, he definitely has woken up. Something he mentioned in the media is that, sometimes it just takes more repetition. It takes some more consistency. I'm kind of paraphrasing what he's saying, but, getting John Singleton some more looks is better for John Singleton. It's better for the Astros. Honestly, I think, even, and this is arguable, but, going with one player and giving Abreu or Singleton the majority of the looks, while it is, kind of seen as old-fashioned, almost Dusty Baker-style baseball, why aren't you taking Abreu out and riding the hot hand? Sometimes it can have an adverse effect, I should say. Sometimes it's hard to split time with a guy and platoon when you can't really get your feet set and you really don't have any consistency in those at-bats. Now that John Singleton's having better at-bats, he's improved his average to 275 and his OPS is 787. Obviously, he is slugging. He had 3 RBIs in this past game. He really stepped up for the Houston Astros offense in this series and is taking advantage of the situation that has played out for him. It doesn't seem like he's trying to take Jose Abreu's job or trying to do anything ridiculous or say anything ridiculous. Taking the job would be great. Yeah, I'm not saying he can't do that, but I don't think he's out there saying anything about taking anybody's job as much as he's just trying to do the best in the situation that he has. He's had a long run. He's had a long, tough run to be a Major League Baseball player. This guy's very grateful, saying and doing the right things. We're rooting for John Singleton here. We also had in my notes here also mentioning Joey Loperfido did not start this game. We had Dubon in left field and Myers in center. They both picked up a hit. They both have OPSs over 750 right now. Myers, while Chaz McCormick is out with injury, Myers is going to need to get some good hits, needing to work some good at bats here to make sure that he fights off Loperfido for this center field position, because Loperfido is definitely breathing down his neck. Loperfido has good bat skills. He's attacking the strike zone. However, he has 5 strikeouts so far this season, and I think that's to be expected. He's a young player. He is aggressive at the plate, and he's looking to make some noise and slug for this team. So he's going to have high strikeouts right now, especially because he had high strikeout rate in the minors. No one goes to the majors and immediately stops striking out. You're probably going to strike out a little bit more until you adjust to the hitting, until you figure out a way to attack without going outside of the zone too much. So we're rooting for all these guys, but how this outfield shuffles out in the next couple weeks, how the first base position shuffles around in the next few weeks is going to be really interesting. And we're really hoping that it's not going to be a lot of panic moves, that these guys are just executing, and it isn't going to be that difficult to figure out who to field at their position, while simultaneously Abreu just keeps getting better in the minors. Because I'm telling you, even if Singleton, even if Cabbage, even if Loperfido, even if they all work out, having a guy like Abreu around would be a huge positive for this team. He's a good leader. I know that people are saying we need leaders, we need people to get in people's faces and stuff, but sometimes a leader is quiet. Jose Abreu is more of a quiet leader. I do think that this clubhouse will miss him if the Astros have to move on from him long term. So we're still rooting for Jose Abreu to come back and make some noise on this team. Um, Obviously, the Astros had a really good offensive game. Um, it was the outlook that the Astros were looking for. However, when I am looking at the negatives in this game, one negative that people have been bringing up obviously is that Bregman, Alvarez, and Tucker both were hit. All three of them, I should say, were hitless in this game. Tucker has had a hot season. Tucker just had an off game. He did work a walk. I know he struck out twice, but I think Tucker just had a rough game. I think this is nothing to look into too much. Alvarez, on the other hand, Alvarez has had a tough series. He struck out 3 times in this game. His average is dropping, and his power numbers are dropping a little bit there as well. People are saying maybe Alvarez needs to figure something out. Maybe there's something wrong with Alvarez. Maybe I think the way I've been watching Alvarez this season, he's been extremely patient. Same thing with Bregman. I feel like Alvarez has kind of got a little more patient. He's almost at that Bregman level. Him and Bregman and Singleton, I would say, are our most patient at batters in this lineup. They're definitely going to take balls, or they're going to take balls that are around the corners of the edges on those first and second strikes, and sometimes they've been taking those pitches on the third strike because their eyes are that good. Some of these pitches that Alvarez hasn't swung at have nipped the zone a little bit more than they have with Bregman and Singleton. However, I think this is just bad luck. Sorry, we have Carla running to the window there, just making sure everything's okay. I do think this is a little bit of bad luck. I do think that this is a little bit of these pitchers just executing their pitches, dotting up these pitches on the zone. You don't want to give Alvarez something he can hit. Giving him something just off the plate and that being called for a strike. I mean, that's ideal for these pitchers. I think Alvarez is just losing some of these battles, but I don't think he's going to lose them for too long. He's too good of a hitter. I don't see, from a very basic point of view, I don't see too many problems with the swing here. I think he's just kind of losing some of these battles and being a little patient. We don't want them to be hitting impatiently and in pressure situations. So, we'll see what Alex Cintron and Troy Snicker and the hitting coaches do there. But I don't think this is any cause for an alarm or to worry about Yordan Alvarez long term. I think he's going to turn it around. However, a lot of people have been mentioning that Alex Bregman, on the other hand, has been struggling. His average is down to 200. It is still the second day of May. Alex Bregman is a slow starter, but people are starting to worry. Maybe, Bregman's been bounced around this lineup card a little bit. He has been hitting third. I believe he hit fourth sometimes. He's back up at second right now. A lot of people have been saying that maybe it's time for Bregman to not hit second. Bregman's definitely loved hitting second most of his career. He's hit in different places, but I don't think exactly where Bregman hits is the issue for Bregman, at least. Now, for the team, if we're wanting if we're saying that we need more run support, then yeah, maybe we move Bregman. It's hard to say that when we win a game 8-2 that we need to move Bregman around. Some people have said that perhaps this is a position for Pena to be hitting in, and I think that might be a good idea. I just want to remind people that Dusty Baker did try batting Pena second very frequently. When Pena was hot, it kind of worked. However, when Pena started to struggle a bit, it was kind of tough to have Pena in that second spot. Pena does seem like he's turning it around. It does seem like Pena is hitting a lot more confidently. It seems like, he's been in the league for some time now, so he's gone through that sophomore slump. It seems like he's getting used to the way the league is pitching to him. So maybe it is time to give Pena a chance in the 2 slot. Also it might be time to just get funky with it. Joe Espada has shown that he can get funky with it. Maybe it's time to put Dubon at first and Altuve in the second spot. When Altuve was out, Dubon did get some time hitting as a spark plug in the top of the lineup. Sometimes Dubon is really good at getting the hit, but not, doesn't exactly have the power to be driving in a lot of runs. So maybe you put him first, let him get on base and get some more power behind him. You know, I really don't know what the answer is. I do think that in some particular games, it has been tough when Bregman has gone up to the plate and not been able to knock in runs. But I don't think that Bregman's spot in the lineup is exactly the problem with the Astros offense or with Bregman particularly. So I'm not sure if that's something that they will do. However, if they do start losing games, I do think that Joe Espada's hand will be forced and he will have to try something to get a winning effort. Right now, that isn't the problem. But when we're looking forward, taking 2 out of the 3 games against a really good Cleveland team is fantastic. This is not the Guardians of years past, or the year past, I should say. But this Cleveland team is very good. They're very hot. They're hitting well. They're pitching well. So that was a great series for the Astros. But when we're looking ahead, we have a bit of a tougher series. We're playing the Mariners in the next 3 games. The Mariners are 17-14 and leading the division right now as of May 2nd. They're leading the AL West, and their fans are so excited. You have to feel bad for these fans. They're chirping a lot. They're making a lot of noise, but they haven't had much to celebrate. So you have to let them celebrate leading the division in May, because it might be all they get. Like I'm not trying to be too cruel. It's just, hey, if you're going to be a ridiculous fan, you're going to talk a lot of mess, I'm going to hit you with the reality. You're chirping in May, in the second day of May. You don't have too much to brag about. You don't have that many wins. But I guess you can enjoy being the lead of the division in May. I'm not too worried about that right now. But what I am worried about is winning these games. It's not about the trash talk. It's not about the stuff. It's taking 2 of these 3 games against the Seattle Mariners. So let's kind of see who we have pitching in these games on Friday later today, 5. That's going to be, that's my time. So 7:10 p.m. Central Time. Ronel Blanco, the stopper, the ace, Houston Astros superstar Ronel Blanco Blancura, 3-0, is pitching for the Houston Astros. For the Seattle Mariners, they have George Kirby. George Kirby is a right-handed pitcher. He's a young pitcher who's had a lot of success in this league. Right now, he's coming into the game with a 4.18 ERA, so slightly elevated for him, but his WHIP is very low at 1.11, and his field independent pitching is low as well at 2.05. ERA plus is a little lower though at 88. So I feel like this is he hasn't really had enough statistics to really kind of balance out some of his worse efforts there. So we really can't. I think looking at these stats can be a little deceptive. George Kirby is a good pitcher, but he also does have the potential to kind of get into some trouble. So the Astros are going to, pardon me, the Astros are going to have to work hard and work these counts. They're not swinging outside of the zone, trying to only hit and swing, or trying to only swing at pitches that they can do some damage with. Ronel Blanco has been giving great efforts. I think I'm not too worried about Ronel Blanco in this game. Our bullpen has been pitching well. We only used 2 pitchers yesterday in Taylor Scott and Seth Martinez. We have our big arms ready to go. If Blanco can get us to the 5th, then that would mean Montero gets the 6th, Abreu the 7th, Presley the 8th, and Hader the 9th, playing into that script that Joe Espada definitely wants to use this season. However, Ronel Blanco does have the stuff to get to the 6th inning. If Ronel Blanco can get to the 6th inning, that takes Montero off the table and saves him for another game. I think that is kind of what we're looking at for this night, is our kind of A game, our A staff. And, I see that going out there. I don't see that team giving up more than 3 runs there, maybe 4 runs, and just with some bad luck. The Seattle Mariners are a very good team. But it's more of their pitching that is absolutely stellar. I'm not trying to say too much about their hitting. I'm just saying their pitching tends to be better than their hitting. They haven't done too much to re-up with their batters. So if we can just get a stellar pitching night, and we can just get knock some runs in, guys. Like I was saying, hitting with runners in scoring position, get some timely hits. This Astros team right now seems to be turning it around. It seems like they're having some fun. They have a little bit of swagger, and hopefully they can build off of that and just keep knocking some runs in. Saturday, a little bit earlier game on Saturday, we have Framber Valdez coming up. He's 1-0 with a 2.60 ERA on the young season, and he will be playing against Logan Gilbert. Logan Gilbert is another one of the young arms on the Seattle Mariners that they have built their pitching rotation around. Um, Logan Gilbert, I should say, is only 27 years old on the young season. Sorry, I'm in the wrong spot here. I'm looking at his advanced stats. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for here, those advanced stats. Don't want to get too crazy in the stats here. Yeah, he's got a really low ERA, just hovering right above 2 at a 2.03 ERA. His his field independent pitching, his FIP is a little higher at 3.24, but his whip is sub 1 at a .8 whip. So this guy is kind of pitching out of his mind right now in the young season. That's sample size there is 40 innings. He's got 23 hits on 40 innings with just 9 earned runs and just 9 walks with 44 strikeouts in 40 innings. So this guy right now is looking to come in and throw some strikeouts, looking to do some damage against the Houston Astros. So this game might be a little tougher for the Astros because if in the first game we pitch Blanco and we pitch our A staff, that means that this game we're coming in, we're going to have a little bit more of a tired bullpen. We have Framber on the mound and playing against an amazing young pitcher right now. So this game, we really are going to have to focus on our at-bats in this series. It will be a tough one for the Houston Astros to get to Logan Gilbert, but I'm completely positive that they have the stuff to get to him. I'm just saying it will be a little bit tougher of a game in that one. And then after that game, after Framber, we do have another Hunter Brown start. We have Hunter Brown. He is 0-4 on the young season with 24 strikeouts, but at a very high 9.78 ERA. And he will be playing against Bryce Miller. Bryce Miller is another right-handed pitcher for the Seattle Mariners. Once again, another one of those young arms. He's only 25. He also has a ERA that's high, just slightly above 2 at a 2.04 ERA. His whip is also sub 1 at 0.87. And with his ERA plus, I should say, is at 180. So this is another guy that's kind of pitching really well here. Another young pitcher that we need to be very wary of. And that start, obviously, we have Hunter Brown. So we're going to want to see Hunter Brown go deep into this game, not have struggles in the first inning, go deep into this game and give us a quality start. Not only do we want to see that, but I know Hunter Brown wants to see that. Pitching coach Josh Miller wants to see that. I think Hunter Brown's job is a little bit in jeopardy, not just because of his performance, but just because of the logistics of carrying pitchers on your roster. With Javier coming back and Urquidy, knocking on the door and getting better and better. Hunter Brown does need to put together some quality starts so that he can keep his job in the rotation. Because I know Blanco is pitching outside of his mind right now. And on the definitely, we want to make sure that these Astros are getting timely hits. Like I was saying earlier, when you look at their offensive stats aren't terrible. Their offensive stats are looking really good. I'm even trying to look up some advanced batting here for them. I think the Astros offense this season has been pretty. I can't say stellar because they haven't been winning, but it's been pretty great. It hasn't been like the golden era of Astros baseball because we haven't been winning games. But when we really look at how well the Astros have been playing, their average exit velocity is 3rd in the league. Their hard hit percentage is 2nd in the league. Let's see. Yeah, their home run percentage is up to the 4th in the league right now. It's been some bad luck. It's been some untimely hitting. It's been some, I think, at times, the Astros putting pressure on themselves, getting pressure from the internet and pressure from the blogs and pressure from the fans to do more. I do think this team is feeling the pressure right now. I think I think that they can bounce back, and I think they do have the offense to bounce back. I think right now, more than anything, we just want to see these guys remain patient, not push, not try to hit home runs. Once they start pushing and trying, then the strikeout numbers will go up, and the runners with scoring position will not get knocked around because people will get fanned at the plate. So we want to see them be patient. We want to see Bregman be patient. We want to see Alvarez be patient. We don't want to see them swinging outside of the strike zone to try to make something happen. So we hope that the Astros can remain consistent and do what they do best, do play the Astros baseball that they know how to play, which is a pass the baton to the next batter if the balls aren't coming to your spot. Hit the balls that are in your spot, have some good at-bats, work the count. I think we're going to see 2 games of John Singleton, and maybe we'll see Trey Cabbage, maybe we'll see Joe Lowe, maybe we'll see Mauricio Dubon at first. I'm not sure, but I hope the tale of John Singleton continues. John Sluggington, I see you, man. We've been fans of you here on the podcast for a while. I've been trying to tell people to give you a break. People were being so crazy to John Singleton, who was brought on to be a backup catcher because he wasn't hitting home runs and very limited at-bats. Now that he's getting some at-bats, he's getting some hits in the game. So I'm just going to put this out there, folks. If you're listening and you need a John Sluggington apology form, let me know. I will send you a John Sluggington apology form. You can fill that out and send it directly to him because I think this guy really has like I said, he has what it takes to be a major league first baseman. He has power. He has pop. He's, can hold down his position defensively. It's good to see him do well, and I'm really hoping that he can keep knocking some runs in for this Houston Astros. I'm hoping that Bregman figures it out. I'm hoping that he can get some, he did hit his first home run, but he can get some more power coming off of that bat. At least, if nothing else, keep working those counts, keep getting on base and working the walk and passing the bat off to the next guy. This really is a good-looking team right now. I think they're turning it around. I think they're starting to figure it out. They're getting some of that swagger back. They're winning games at home, and they're feeling that confidence. So I want you guys to do that too. Let's feel that confidence. I know Abreu's in a Space Cowboys jersey right now, but wherever you're at, I'm not even wearing a button now, but pop off a button for that confidence. Get that Abreu confidence going. We're rooting for everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast, folks. We're going to go ahead and call that now. Go ahead and sign off. This has been Space Cadet Sports. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Space Cadet Sports. You can find the Substack at spacecadetsports.substack.com. You can be a subscriber there to get all the memes, all the articles, all the podcasts, all the video articles, pictures of Carla, a John Sluggington apology form. You can all find it on there, being a subscriber at the Substack. If you'd be so kind, consider making a donation to the Substack. This is a passion project. I love talking Astros. I love doing this. However, it costs money. It costs equipment. Carla needs treats. If you would be so kind as to donate to the podcast, we definitely would appreciate your funding this project. We are made possible by viewers and listeners like you. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Paul Salazar Jr. You can find me on social media at Paul Salazar Jr. and my website, paulsalazarjr.com. If you need cute dog pictures, you can find Carla at good.dog.carla on TikTok. I'm sorry, I forget she's not on TikTok. You can find her on Instagram. Thank you so much for listening, folks. I think the Astros are going to win 2 of 3 of these games here, but it is going to be very tough. These are going to be some tough games. If you thought those Guardian games were close and some nail-biters, I think we're going to get some nail-biters here too. It's still May, folks. We're climbing up the ladder. We're doing well. We're making our way up those standings. The Astros just have to keep doing what they do, and we just got to keep believing in them, folks. It's going to be a long season, I know, but it's still May, and the Astros are looking to win games. Let's beat these Mariners at home, folks. I almost said something a little too aggressive, but we got this. We just got to believe in ourselves, all right? You just got to believe, folks. Thank you for listening, and vamos Astros. Almost had a potty mouth, Carla. I almost had a potty mouth.